Item 1. White rice, the overlooked bulk advantage. Walk into Walmart during any kind of panic buying wave and the same pattern plays out almost every single time. Shelves at eye level get wiped clean first. Smaller packages disappear fast because they feel convenient, familiar, and easy to grab without thinking. Meanwhile, the larger bags sitting lower on the shelf often remain untouched longer than expected. That's exactly where one of the smartest pantry staples hides in plain sight. White rice, especially the large 20-pound bags, quietly solves multiple problems at once. It's inexpensive, incredibly filling, and stores far longer than most people assume. The surprising part isn't that rice is useful. It's how dramatically people underestimate its long-term value when stored correctly. Most shoppers instinctively reach for the smaller boxes. They look manageable, they feel less like a commitment, and they're positioned exactly where attention naturally goes. But those boxes come at a steep cost per pound compared to bulk bags. The difference isn't subtle, it's massive. Paying several times more for smaller quantities adds up quickly, especially when stocking up for uncertain situations. Now here's where things get interesting. When stored properly, white rice doesn't just last a few years. It can last decades. The key isn't complicated either. Airtight containers, oxygen absorbers, and a cool, dark place turn a simple grain into a long-term food reserve that outlasts most pantry items by a wide margin. And the real advantage? It stays available longer during shortages because people skip it. It feels too basic, too boring, or too inconvenient. That hesitation is exactly what keeps it on shelves while other foods vanish. Calorie-wise, it's a powerhouse. A single large bag can stretch into dozens upon dozens of meals. Pair it with almost anything, beans, canned meat, vegetables, and suddenly it becomes the foundation of a reliable, flexible food supply. Item 2. Bouillon cubes, the cheapest morale booster on the shelf. Food isn't just about calories. That becomes very clear the moment meals start feeling repetitive. Plain food can technically keep someone going, but it doesn't take long before it starts affecting mood, energy, and even decision-making. Eating the same bland meals over and over has a real psychological impact. It drains motivation and makes everything feel harder than it needs to be. That's where one of the most underrated items in the entire store comes in. Bouillon cubes don't look impressive. They're small, inexpensive, and usually tucked away near the soup aisle without much attention. Most shoppers see them as a minor ingredient, something optional rather than essential. But that perception misses the bigger picture. A single cube can transform an entire pot of food. Rice becomes savory and comforting. Beans taste like a full meal instead of a basic staple. Even simple soups suddenly feel warm and satisfying instead of just functional. And the cost? Practically nothing per serving. That's what makes bouillon cubes such a powerful addition to any pantry. They deliver flavor at a scale that completely outweighs their size and price. A small box can stretch across dozens of meals, turning repetitive ingredients into something people actually want to eat. There's also a deeper reason they matter. In stressful situations, morale isn't optional. It's critical. Meals that taste good keep households calmer, more cooperative, and more resilient. It's not just about survival, it's about maintaining a sense of normalcy. And here's the interesting part. They almost never sell out. Item 3. Canned chicken. The protein solution. Nobody thinks about. Protein is where most emergency food plans fall apart. Carbohydrates are easy to store. Rice, pasta, and grains are everywhere. But protein? That's where things get complicated. Fresh meat requires refrigeration. Frozen meat depends entirely on power. And many alternatives either cost too much or require time and effort that might not always be available. That's why this next item stands out. Canned chicken solves the protein problem in a way that's both simple and surprisingly effective. It's fully cooked, shelf-stable, and ready to eat straight from the can if necessary. No preparation, no waiting, no reliance on electricity. And despite all those advantages, it's often ignored. Most shoppers walk right past it. Maybe it doesn't look appealing. Maybe it feels less familiar than fresh options, but that hesitation creates an opportunity. Each can deliver a solid amount of protein at a relatively low cost. Compared to other non-refrigerated protein sources, the value is hard to beat. And because it's already cooked, it removes one of the biggest barriers during an emergency: the need to prepare food under limited conditions. Item 4. Peanut butter. The calorie-dense lifeline most people underestimate. There's a huge difference between food that fills space in a pantry and food that actually fuels the body efficiently. Peanut butter sits firmly in the second category. At first glance, it seems like a basic household item, something people buy out of habit rather than strategy. But when looked at more closely, it turns into one of the most efficient calorie sources available in any grocery store. The numbers tell the story. A single large jar packs thousands of calories into a relatively small space. That kind of density matters, especially when food needs to last longer or when energy demands increase. Fat, which peanut butter contains in abundance, provides more than double the calories per gram compared to carbohydrates or protein. And it's not just about energy. Dietary fat plays a critical role in absorbing essential vitamins. Without it, the body struggles to fully use nutrients from other foods. That makes peanut butter more than just a calorie source. It's a nutritional support system for everything else being consumed. It's also incredibly easy to use. No cooking required, no preparation necessary. Open the jar and it's ready. Spread it, mix it, or eat it straight. That simplicity becomes extremely valuable when time, tools, or energy are limited. Item 5. Instant oatmeal. The low-effort staple that outperforms expectations. There's a lot of debate around oatmeal. Some prefer traditional oats for their nutritional profile. Others lean toward less processed options. But in situations where convenience and efficiency matter more than perfection, instant oatmeal starts to stand out in a big way. The key advantage is simple. It requires very little effort to prepare. Hot water is enough. Not a full stove, not extended cooking time, just heat and a few minutes. That makes it one of the most accessible foods during power outages or limited cooking situations. And despite its simplicity, it still delivers meaningful nutrition. Each serving provides calories, a bit of protein, and enough substance to actually feel like a meal rather than a snack. But what really makes instant oatmeal valuable is its versatility. It doesn't have to stay in its original form. Crushed into a powder, it can thicken soups or stews. Mixed with other ingredients, it can turn into quick energy bars. Combined with peanut butter or honey, it becomes something entirely different. That flexibility turns a simple breakfast item into a multi-purpose pantry tool. Storage is straightforward as well. Keep it dry, keep it sealed, and it lasts far longer than expected. Even past its labeled date, it often remains perfectly usable. And just like several other items on this list, it tends to stay available longer than it should. Some shoppers overlook it because it feels too processed or too basic. That hesitation leaves it sitting on shelves while other foods disappear. But when practicality becomes the priority, instant oatmeal proves its value quickly. Item 6. Dried lentils. Fast, cheap, and seriously underrated. Most people don't even think about lentils when walking through a grocery store, and that's exactly what keeps them available when everything else starts disappearing. They sit quietly near the rice and beans, usually untouched, mostly because they feel unfamiliar or slightly intimidating. But that hesitation hides one of the most efficient food options on the shelf. Lentils solve a major problem that shows up during any kind of disruption: cooking time. Unlike dried beans, which require soaking and long cooking periods, lentils go straight from the bag into boiling water and are ready in about 15 minutes. No prep, no planning ahead, no wasted fuel. That speed matters more than it seems, especially when resources are limited. Nutritionally, they hold their own in a big way. Each serving delivers a solid amount of protein and fiber, making them filling and sustaining without needing large portions. And when paired with something like rice, they form a complete and balanced meal that's both simple and effective. The cost is another advantage that's hard to ignore. Per serving, lentils come in at just a fraction of what most other protein sources cost. That kind of efficiency makes it possible to stretch a food budget without sacrificing nutrition. And yet, despite all of that, they remain one of the least targeted items during panic buying. It comes down to familiarity. People reach for what they know. Lentils fall outside that comfort zone for many shoppers, which leaves them sitting on the shelf long after other options are gone. That's the recurring theme here. The best items aren't always the most obvious. They're the ones people overlook. Item 7. Vegetable oil, more than just cooking fuel. Vegetable oil is one of those items that almost everyone buys at some point, but very few people think about beyond basic cooking. That limited perspective misses a much bigger opportunity. At its core, vegetable oil is an extremely dense source of calories. Even small amounts provide significant energy, which becomes especially important when food intake is limited or physical demands increase. A single bottle contains thousands of calories in a compact, easy-to-store form. But the usefulness doesn't stop there. It also plays a role outside of food. In situations where power isn't available, simple alternatives become valuable. Oil can be used as a light source with basic materials, creating a steady flame that lasts for hours. It's an old method, but one that still works when modern systems fail. That kind of versatility makes it more than just a kitchen item. It becomes a multi-purpose resource that supports both energy needs and basic functionality. Storage is straightforward. Keep it in a cool, dark place and it remains usable for a long time. While premium oils tend to disappear quickly during shortages, standard vegetable oil often remains because it lacks that perceived urgency. But that's exactly where the advantage lies. It's inexpensive, widely available, and capable of serving multiple roles. And when conditions become less predictable, that kind of flexibility becomes incredibly valuable. Item 8. Popcorn kernels, the long-lasting comfort food. Popcorn usually gets dismissed as a snack, something tied to movies or casual evenings. But when looked at from a different angle, it becomes something much more practical. The first thing to understand is shelf life. Popcorn kernels, when stored properly, last for years. Not just months, years. They maintain their ability to pop as long as they retain a small amount of internal moisture, which is easily preserved in sealed containers. That alone puts them ahead of many common snack options that expire quickly. Then there's the volume factor. A relatively small bag of kernels expands into a surprisingly large amount of food. That transformation makes it efficient in terms of both storage and output. Preparation is simple. A pot, a small amount of oil, and heat are all it takes. No electricity, no specialized equipment. It's a low-effort process that delivers consistent results. But the real value goes beyond practicality. Comfort matters. During stressful situations, small moments of normalcy can make a significant difference. Something as simple as a familiar snack can lift morale and create a sense of stability, especially for families. That's where popcorn stands out. It's not just food, it's an experience. And like many items on this list, it tends to stay on shelves longer than expected. Pre-packaged snacks disappear quickly, but plain kernels are often ignored because they require a little effort. That small barrier keeps them available, even when other options are gone. Item 9. Ramen noodles. More versatile than most people realize. Ramen has a reputation, and that reputation often limits how people use it. Most see it as a quick soup. Boil water, add noodles, use the seasoning packet, and that's it. But that approach barely scratches the surface of what it can actually do. At its core, ramen is simply a form of pasta. That shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of treating it as a soup base, it can be used as a foundation for a wide range of meals. Cook the noodles, drain the water, and suddenly it becomes a blank canvas. Add canned chicken, mix in vegetables, combine it with sauces or seasonings, and it transforms into something far more substantial. That flexibility makes it one of the most adaptable items in a pantry. It's also extremely affordable. Each pack provides a meaningful amount of calories at a very low cost, making it easy to store in large quantities without stretching a budget. Storage is simple. Keep it dry, stack it in a container, and it lasts well beyond its labeled date with minimal changes. Item 10. Instant mashed potatoes. Fast comfort when it matters most. There's something about hot food that goes beyond nutrition. It brings a sense of comfort, warmth, and normalcy that cold meals simply can't match. And when conditions are less than ideal, that difference becomes incredibly important. Instant mashed potatoes provide that comfort with almost no effort. Preparation couldn't be simpler. Add hot water, stir, and it's ready in minutes. No complicated steps, no extended cooking time. That ease makes it accessible even in situations where resources are limited. Despite being convenient, they still deliver a satisfying meal. The texture, the warmth, and the familiarity all come together to create something that feels complete rather than makeshift. They're also more versatile than they appear. Beyond serving as a standalone dish, they can be used to thicken soups, enhance other meals, or act as a base for additional ingredients. If this breakdown helped shift the way everyday grocery items are viewed, make sure to subscribe for more practical insights like this. Share this with someone who still shops the same way everyone else does, and stay ahead by thinking differently the next time those shelves start to thin out.